first of all, thank you all for being here. This is a very big day for us. We were all talking backstage about how what a just great opportunity it is for all of us that you're here and allowing us to speak about these children and to have this day for these children. It is a fact that the best way to heal children in conflict and their trauma is to focus their minds on their future and give them an education. It's also a fact that an educated population is the best guarantee for a stable and prosperous future. I'm not saying something that everybody in this room doesn't already know. It's common sense. And yet, education is still not enough of a priority for the international community. Appeals are not met, and some government programs still have no education mandate at all. We're here to talk about the children of Iraq, but first I just wanted to say a few words about the children we're talking about, children of conflict and who they are. These are children living in refugee camps, where the average stay now in a camp before returning home is 17 years. Children who are refugees are not living in camps, like Syria, Jordan. We're also talking about children who are internally displaced inside their countries, like Colombia, Darfur, and children who remain living in areas of ongoing conflict, like Congo, Iraq. We are also talking about the children who are repatriating to their home countries, those who are returning to areas that are bombed or their landmines scattered on the grounds, like Cambodia was, like Afghanistan is today. As Jean said, there are tens of millions of these children in conflict. And I've had the privilege of meeting with many of them. And they are inspiring, and they're strong, and I know what they could do with a great education. And I also have seen their life without education. I have met these kids who have witnessed their friends and families killed, have lost their homes, and have nothing to do but sit idle in a camp and relive it all in their minds. They have nothing to do. I've also seen kids who are displaced and living on the streets. I've watched them pick through garbage all day for a few cents from their recycling. Most of those kids have scars on their faces because of these horrible bugs in the garbage. It's a horrible situation. I've met children who have turned to prostituting themselves, who are susceptible to trafficking. The point is, every child has a right to an education, and conflict is not an excuse for us to ignore that right. If anything, it is the time that they need it the most. It helps them gain a sense of normalcy. It helps them with their psychological and physical health. We know that infants are less likely to die at birth if their mothers have been educated. We know that a 17-year-old girl in school can be as much as 6 times less likely to contract HIV and AIDS than her out-of-school peers. Education gives them hope, it gives them confidence in the future. They feel they have a future. And these kids, they'll sit under a tree, writing in the dirt because they have no pens and no supplies, and they'll sit in 100-degree temperature, just to hear a teacher speak. They are absolutely the most committed students in the world. And they are the future of their countries. So they're the best investment we can make. And that is certainly true for Iraq, where over 4 million people are displaced from this conflict. There are about 50% of them are children, and the millions also living inside the war zone that are not displaced. They have little or no aid.
Is this a constant that you witness?
It's absolutely a constant. It's one of the reasons that that you and I first started talking. It is. I've been traveling to refugee camps for over 7 years, and certainly I've had so many different experiences. I remember spending the night in the Thai border in a Burmese camp, and all these teenagers kind of breaking in and trying to get into my room. And not my room, I was staying with the family, but I was in the door near the side. It was kind of this odd bamboo shelter. But they were kind of knocking in, it was dangerous for them because they're camp leaders and they're police and it wasn't okay for them to come out. No idea what they wanted to talk about or ask me, and I thought maybe something to do with, you know, maybe questions I'm used to from teenagers. And they came in and they had written down their number in the camp, kind of where they lived, and they said, can you send us, this is what we need, and they had listed the different books that they wanted. They wanted grammar books, and they wanted a lot of dictionaries, and they wanted some pens, and they wanted some things, and then they said that was it, and then they raced back to their rooms, and they said, don't, please don't tell anybody we came in, and we don't want to get in trouble. And that was it. So I've had that experience. I've had experiences in pretty much everywhere I've gone, and I think most people here, anybody who's visited these kind of areas, where you're sitting there writing in your journal and your notes, and kids start begging you for pieces of paper. I made the mistake of taking out a bunch of big pens to pass out to a bunch of kids and started a mob of children pushing each other and attacking, you know, just, it was horrible, hitting each other, and just to get a silly little big pen. They're desperate for these things. It's not just that they've heard their parents tell them education is important, that they want to do something. They're really, really desperate for education. And I have also seen, I've returned to camps. I've seen one girl in particular who had witnessed her family killed and survived with a sibling, and was just rocking. And she just wouldn't talk. She was just rocking. And I wanted to try to talk to her, and wouldn't talk to me at all. And I couldn't help her at all. And I came back, I don't remember how many months, maybe 6 months later, and she was in school. And she was talking, and the teacher said that this was, you know, that they first started with crayons and drawing pictures and everything. But eventually she'd made some friends, and they were trying to get her to join this little soccer game. But it was slow, but it was going to be the difference of whether this kid became a traumatized little girl that had no voice, or somebody who was going to have a voice and going to be okay. So yes, absolutely, across the board, it is what everybody wants. It's what parents want for their kids, and it's definitely what the children are desperate for.